So they had dinner. It didn't yield the deal, but they're still talking. And Anna makes a very good point. The fact that they're talking is still positive. From what you're hearing, are we going to get a Brexit trade agreement at some point, potentially maybe before Sunday?
Well, never say never, but the gaps and the areas that can't be agreed are the same areas that have dogged the negotiations for years, effectively. So the so-called level playing field, where the UK would be expected to take EU law now and in the future without actually having a say in it, and that's a no-go on a sovereignty reason. Governance of the whole treaty, if we had one, which would the EU want the European Court of Justice to play a part, which is a bit like the EU marking its own homework as far as the treaty is concerned. And of course the fish issue, where the EU wants to retain permanent access to a huge amount of our fishing grounds, which would leave us the only sovereign nation in the world that doesn't have control of its fishing waters. I personally think the fish is a bit of a red herring issue. I think that they concede on that at the last minute. And maybe the fact that they haven't conceded on the fish yet, asking us to concede on the level playing field, means that the talks aren't yet over. But it does feel a little bit as if the negotiations are on life support, and no one wants to actually be the one that switches the machine off at this stage.
At this point, I mean, it's December 10th. We're nearly in the middle of December. You have to get this deal by the end of the year. At this point, given it's such late time in the game, are you and your colleagues willing to accept pretty much whatever Boris Johnson is able to negotiate?
Certainly not. Neither will the British people, who we've waited 4.5 years for the Brexit that we voted for at the referendum. The appetite to see it through is completely undiminished. We've had many elections since then, and overwhelming majority of people want to get out of the European Union. I think I'm coming to the conclusion that there's no deal that the European Union can give us. I think we're coming at it from two different ways. The UK's always been associated with the common market to start with, and then the European Union. It was always a vehicle for trade, whereas for the European Union, it's about politics. And I think through the so-called level playing field, the European Union are seeing this as a way of effectively taking back control of the UK before we've really left, and that won't wash with politicians over here or with the public. So I think we're gearing up for a probable no deal.
Gearing up for a no deal. But Mr. Bridgen, I have a question for you. If you and your other Conservative colleagues don't want to back this deal, but Labour actually supports it, does it matter? Can the deal go through?
Well, it potentially could, but I don't think the Prime Minister would come back with a deal that he couldn't sell to the Eurosceptic Conservative MPs. And our party, after the last general election, is far more Eurosceptic than it's ever been in its history. I would take a bit of issue with the figures about the hit for no deal. I think 2% of GDP is probably the worst case scenario. That's what we think single market access is actually worth. And of course, all of those hits to our economy discount any benefits of free trade deals with countries around the world who actually don't want to, in return, make our laws.
But that hit to GDP, especially from an economy that is struggling as well when it comes to COVID-19, is that a risk worth taking?
Well, no deal is always better than a bad deal. You have to have a walk-away position. No deal would be a very short-term hit to our economy, whereas no deal will be a ball and chain around the competitiveness of the UK going forward for many, many decades. They have to be balanced off. And also, it would also be a major hit to our democracy.